One of the best things about real estate sales is that our product sells itself. Everybody wants to own a home. So traditionally, we haven't needed to convince anyone of the value of our product. But the current market has shifted some of that sentiment. As we discussed last week, 57% of renters currently believe that the dream of homeownership is dead, and as a result have no intention of trying to own their own property. There's a handful of common ideas I think are dominating this group's thinking. I just missed the boat is one of them. Anyone that bought a few years ago has now gained a ton of equity, but I'm too late because the opportunity is past. Another idea is that a major crash is coming. With home prices so high, we must be nearing another crash in prices. And buying now is just locking in at the peak of the market. Others are convinced that they simply can't afford the mortgage. At these elevated prices and 7% rates, the monthly payments are just frankly out of reach. And some truly believe that renting is actually better. Why incur the maintenance liability and then pay 7% interest? Renting is flexible and it frees up cash to either spend more on life, like travel, or to buy cryptocurrency. Now, obviously, I've got a different idea. And as an immigrant that's worked furiously to invest in real estate over the last 20 years, my bias is towards doing everything you can to find a way to get your foot in the door and own a piece, however small, of the opportunity that real estate creates. I believe there's a few key ideas that people need to understand to see the big picture here and to overcome some of the very real obstacles that are in their minds. First is that home prices are not going to go down substantially anytime in the near future. The forces holding real estate prices up are not going away soon. From population growth to inventory and construction deficiencies to corporate purchasing of single-family homes, prices hopefully aren't going to appreciate the way they did in 2020 and 2021. But there's also no sign of a collapse in home values on the horizon. If they're expensive today, they're going to be more expensive tomorrow. Second, even at modest appreciation levels, let's say 3 to 4% annually, the average homeowner will gain more than $83,000 in equity over the next 5 years. And that's just from the increase in home values, not to mention the corresponding reduction in those people's mortgage balances over that time. The next idea that helps cement why it's worth working to overcome these affordability headwinds is the fact that there has been, is currently, and always will be a wealth disparity between homeowners and renters in the US. Now that gap has increased a lot in the last 5 years, and anyone who bought prior to 2020, yeah, they certainly won the lottery, but choosing to rent for the next 5 years isn't going to change that trajectory. Homeowners will build net worth, and renters will build their landlord's net worth. This isn't going to change. And finally, Gen Z and millennials need to know that despite these headwinds, motivated first-time homebuyers can create solutions to barriers to entry. It's going to take work and sacrifice, like most good things in life, but the practical steps are attainable. 1, save for a down payment. That might mean cutting back on the occasional Starbucks or streaming platform, and it might be slow given the elevated cost of living, but it can be done. 2, you need to prepare financially by establishing credit and paying off high-interest debt. 3, as a first-time homebuyer, you need to learn everything you can about available first-time homebuyer incentive programs and grants. There are many already available, and I think it's safe to suggest that there's more coming soon. And 4, finally, we need to buy smart and adopt realistic expectations. As a first-time entrant to the real estate market, you most likely need to adjust your expectations. Consider fixer-uppers with sweat equity opportunity. Consider roommates to pay you rent. And consider smaller first-time properties, maybe with fewer amenities and luxuries, especially if that property could make a good rental down the line when you're ready for the next move up. Guys, the bottom line is that it's a tough market for a first-time home buyer. And it's understandable that some younger buyers have lost hope in the possibility of owning their own home. But the reality is that some, hopefully many, of these same folks will overcome those challenges by finding solutions to the obstacles between them and their first piece of real estate. And those that do will win in the long run.